These are the things I wish my school taught me when I was growing up living in Singapore. Money, job satisfaction, and overall just having a successful life are all things that are super important, but they are not taught in school at all. I think that's why we make all these silly money mistakes trying to escape the rat race in our early 20s. Just a quick note, if you want to be updated on my latest YouTube videos, or you just want to see how I am navigating my life in terms of my investing, my trading, or even just my personal fitness, I usually post all these things either on my Instagram or my Telegram channel, so you can check that out in the description down below, or maybe in the comment section I'll be posting it and also pinning it at the same time. So I'm sure every school teaches different things, but this is basically what we learn in Singapore. You have your basic English, you have your mother tongue, which for us is usually Chinese, Malay or Tamil, but basically you focus on the math and science subjects a lot more. But Singapore is a very vigorous system of education where you're always just studying for exams and you're just going through all these things, trying to memorize as much as you can and then just vomit during the exams, and then you totally forget about everything afterwards, right? But of course, with everything that's coming in, there's good things that you learn from school as well. You learn how to socialize with friends. Damn, there's a loud bird. You learn how to socialize with friends, you learn how to make connections with people, you know how to, I guess, survive and read how it feels like to be in a group, so that, you know, when you go to the workplace, you know how to behave yourself in groups and stuff, and that's where politics come in a little bit more. But with that being said, you also learn a lot of things like perseverance and discipline. But I always felt that the things that we learned in school were building blocks and foundation for a career later on that you may or may not use. So how many of you guys can really tell me that, wow, you learn trigonometry, you learn all the advanced math calculations, you learn all the chemistry molecules and all those kind of things, and you're telling me that you're using it in your life right now? Nonsense, right? You definitely don't use any of these things, but yet we were taught and made, right, to memorize them so well that you could just vomit them out instantly, and yet you don't use it in your everyday life at all afterwards. And then it comes to like some of the things afterwards where you think, then what are we studying all these things for, right? Of course, that's a deeper meaning where you have a bigger question in life where who decides what is taught in school and what's important and what's not, right? I'm sure they have criteria and stuff like that that you go through, and all these things are being vetted. So we can't change anything about that, right? Maybe it's slowly changing, more and more important topics about happiness, meditation, mental clarity, all these things come into play. But basically what you learn in school is like the foundation of how to do hard work and discipline, and basically do a lot of things that you don't want to do, but you're still able to do them consistently over a long period of time and build out these sort of like small habits and intrinsic skills of language and stuff that you didn't know that you need after all. But of course, with that being said, let's talk about what school didn't teach us, especially about money, and especially about so many things that you are made to deal with once you graduate from university or even the polytechnic, or just come out into the working world, right? Nobody taught us about taxes. Nobody said you have to freaking pay taxes. Why wasn't this covered in school, right? So I'm not blaming the school system or anything. They have a set amount of time and they just have all these things that they need to teach already. But all these things are super important in your everyday life. You cannot escape from it, right? The topic of money, or the topic of just choosing your job, right? The only things we were taught in school was that you wanted to find a job that is going to pay you the best, the highest salary ever, the lowest working hours, the best benefits, and then you'll be considered like successful, because with all that money you can buy a car, you can buy a condo, you can buy a nice house, you can have a beautiful family and stuff like that, right? So all those things, even on the money management side of things, then how do you save your money? How much of your money should you save? How much of your money should you invest? And how do you do investing? Like, why are these things not taught in school, right? So these are things that I'm really, really passionate about, because I was stuck in that position when I graduated from school back then. And then I got so lost because my first job paid me $2,800 for my salary, and it's not a small amount of money, right? It's a big amount of money for a student who just graduated, but it's not enough to be able to, retire or build a family or have a fruitful life to really live around with that amount of salary, right? Big ticket items like your cars, your houses, your renovations, your weddings, all these things are money that you need to save for, but nobody really tells you what's in store and what's life going to be like after school. You kind of just have to figure it out in the dark, and then everyone is just freestyling it. You think that people have it under control. No, even I, with my YouTube channel, with my successful job in that sense and everything, you think I'm having everything figured out? Definitely not, right? Because I definitely am still figuring out life as I'm going by, and I'm freestyling as well, right? Sometimes I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I'm just like trying my best not to screw it up, right? So everyone's life looks better on the other side, it always looks greener on the other side. But I like the phrase where it's greener where you water it. So where you put your attention to, those things will grow and your focus will expand on those things as well. So these are the things that I settled down with and I became very passionate about. And my channel is centered around like money, side hustles, investing and stuff like that, because I'm just so passionate about these topics, because it's something that is so close to our lives that we really need to pay a lot of attention to. And I think the first thing that I would really want to, if I went back in time, right, I'm basically talking to my like 28-year-old self or 27-year-old self. The very first thing that you should be thinking about would be focusing on your earnings potential, right? You need to find a job that you can either tolerate or like, right? You cannot hate it. If you hate it, you can't do it for long. If you can do it for long, you're sacrificing yourself and you're dying in that process. So I do not recommend it, right? So as you're doing all those things, you want to make sure that you are upgrading yourself, investing into your own education, mentors, courses, whatever it is. Make sure that you can actually push your earning potential as much as you can and earn a more decent salary earlier on, right? It doesn't matter if it takes some time. Everyone takes some time anyway. But if you can earn more money, that means that after that you've built a good foundation where you can start off with. So after you start off with more money that you are earning, right, then you can start to talk about saving money. Because I started off with a salary of $2,800. So even if I had like a 70% savings rate, out of the $2,200, I saved $1,500. So everything else, I only pay $700 plus for it, which is quite difficult. Yeah, it's quite difficult to live in Singapore with that amount. You basically need to be stuck at home and not spend any money at all, right? But let's say even if I save 70% of that salary, I only have $1,500 to play with, right? Then if you invest that money as well, of course it will grow over time and it's a good habit to start off as well, but you're just not going to be able to compound your money as fast. It makes more sense if you can push your salary all the way to maybe $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Then if you save 70% of that, it can, blow up very quickly compared to if you had a small base to start off with, right? There's totally nothing wrong with having a low salary, yeah? The only problem is where you're gonna go moving forward, right? Are you gonna bitch about it? How low your salary is and, not do anything about it, which is what majority of the world is doing, right? And once you've figured that out, then you can at least go into the savings part and then the investing part, and you can really focus on what you should be investing in, right? If you want the easiest method, anyone out there in the internet is telling you, just put your money in the index funds. It's not that difficult, right? Don't go for those individual stocks where you need to research, you need to find out about the companies, you need to know exactly what the companies are doing to give you peace of mind. If you want something simple, just go index funds, S&P ETF, VOO, what's the CSPX, all these kind of things, and then you're done, right? You've basically hacked your way into a stable retirement to some extent. I cannot guarantee that because maybe 20 years down the road, you guys show me this video and then say, the S&P 500 crashed and you told us to invest in the S&P 500. No, the chances are that it will crash. It's always there, but the probability of it happening is low, right? Let's be honest. It's been going up steadily for the next 30, 40 years and stuff like that. But with everything else, I think money aside, one of the most important things I wanted to say is also, since I'm a physio, right? I'm a physio, I need to advocate for this, but I really believe in it as well, which is your health. So investing in your health is actually the best thing that can happen, because a lot of people in their 20s, you have a lot of time, you have a lot of energy, and you sacrifice your health to make money, right? You're basically trading our time for money in that sense. And we sacrifice too much of our health to sometimes an extent where it's irreversible. So let's say if you get something like diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, all these kind of things, and then these things are irreversible. You have to take medication for the rest of your life. You need to be careful about all the activities you're doing. You need to be careful about things that you eat, right? So basically your health is like the base layer foundation, almost like your insurance. It really doesn't matter how much money you have if your health is in shambles. Like, you cannot do anything with that money because you're just, sick all the time in bed. You can't move, you can't walk, things like that. So your health must be the first thing you prioritize. So consistent exercise, being able to do things like meditation for your mental clarity, your mental health and stuff like that. Then you can think about going towards being able to invest and save your money. Because for me, my health is like cornerstone of what I do. I exercise regularly and I meditate as well, so that I have enough energy and productivity to be able to make more money, to be able to be more productive and efficient at my job. And then I can use that money to be able to save and invest and build my retirement portfolio. Because if I'm sick, who cares about all these things, right? I'm just going to do all the things that I want to do. But hopefully after this video, you can understand what school teaches you, what you actually need to know about life, about money, about savings and investing, and most importantly, what you need to prioritize for your future. So if you enjoyed this video here, then you'll probably enjoy this video here on the Longbridge Singapore app for beginners. Thanks for watching, have an amazing day as usual, and I'll see you guys in the next few videos. Bye bye.